What is up, my loves? Welcome back to another episode of the Fully Alive podcast. My name is Stephanie Elsperman. I'm your host, and this is the space where we dive into all things your soul's purpose, understanding that unique mission that you are put on this earth to serve that is so much bigger than you. And yes, of course, it's woven through what you do, whether that's in your career or impact-driven entrepreneurship, but it's also a way of living. And if you're someone who has walked through some shit in your life, you've had some experiences, and you know that they're not for no reason, and they've given you this feeling in your heart where you're like, I know that I'm made for something so much bigger than just checking the boxes and following the idea of quote unquote societal success and getting the job and having the house and having the life and then enjoying your life when you're 65 and retired. If you know you're here for something greater than that, then you are exactly in the right place. In this podcast, we dive into it all, from impact-driven entrepreneurship to the high performer mindset, and really understanding that soul's purpose for you so that you can create a life that makes you feel fully alive from the inside out. So welcome to the space. In today's episode, I am going to be taking you through how exactly I am setting up my life with purpose and intention to travel for the next 3 weeks. So Nolan and I have a Europe trip planned. From the point of this recording, we leave in a few days. So it is like a mad dash to get everything done and to make sure that we are super set up to be able to travel for that long, both in our businesses and in our lives. Because I think what will entice a lot of people into entrepreneurship, even beyond just having this soul calling and how you want to serve, is the freedom aspect and getting to travel and do these different things and not have to ask for time off. And I cannot tell you, Nolan and I were looking at each other the other day and we're like, we are so grateful that we just get to do this, that we don't have to ask anyone for time off, that we don't have to get it approved. We can just choose dates and go and travel, and our income isn't even nearly impacted. And to be able to get to do that and to share time together in that way, we would never trade it for the world. However, there is a flip side. And that flip side of not having to ask anyone to take time off is that you are the one who's responsible for making sure that your life and your business is set up. There's no guaranteed PTO. There's no guaranteed what's going to happen tomorrow. And so I think a lot of people will paint this beautiful picture around like the freedom lifestyle and getting to travel and all of this. Like, you guys, there is still some stuff that needs to happen on the other end to make sure that your life is set up to be able to do this. It doesn't just like happen at the drop of a hat, because I remember when I first got into entrepreneurship and I saw people marketing like, oh, I'm traveling and I'm making money, and like none of the flip side of that, like Wi-Fi issues or like what it actually takes or like what needs to be in place to be able to do that. I didn't hear any of that. And so I remember like the first trip I took, I was like, I'm going to launch while I'm on vacation. I had no system set up for that, you guys. And I was like, why isn't this working as glamorously as it is online? It's because I did not know the flip side. And so I'm going to share with you guys just kind of how I am personally setting up both my life and my business with systems, and also on the mindset side to be able to hold space for travel, for still creating income while I'm away and getting to be present. Because ultimately it's like 3 weeks of time and getting to travel to me is the most important thing versus trying to push and get ahead during this time. It is going to be such a beautiful and relaxing time, and we can't wait to look back on this time as well for the rest of the year. So where we're going, I've hinted at this a little bit, but my grandmother, she recently moved to Madrid, Spain, to live with her twin sister. My grandfather passed about a couple of years ago. And so my grandmother sold all of her things and she said, I'm going to go live out my glory years with my twin sister in Spain. So they are two peas in a pod, and I cannot wait to see them. If you guys know, my grandmother is one of the most important people, and so I can't wait to go and squeeze her. So we're going to be in Madrid for a little bit. Then we're going to go up to Barcelona because Nolan just so happens to have an art show while we are over there. And then from Barcelona, we'll go a little bit to the north of Spain. We'll go to London, and then we'll go back to Madrid. So it is going to be a busy trip. It just so happened that it became a very busy trip. It was supposed to just be like 3 weeks and we don't know where we're going to go. We're just going to go to Spain. And it ended up being pretty much back to back, which I think is really fun. And so we're super stoked for it. But without further ado, let's get into how we're setting up our lives to be able to do this. Let's do it. So we're going to go into life and business and the mindset and systems for each. So first things first, on the life side of things, mindset wise, I treat my life like it's a business. Okay. That might sound crazy to some of you, but truly for my systems and organization brain, I love thinking of different moments in life and experiences that we're going to have like business projects. And it helps me keep everything straight. So I get in the mindset of this is a project, and therefore I have to set up the systems just like I would a business project to make sure that everything gets done, and therefore I can rest into that system. Sounds crazy, but it works. Hang with me, okay? The other piece is that we have noticed, like, inevitably when we're coming up on travel in the past, like, I'm a recovering planner, okay? And also a homebody. Like, I'm a Cancer. I like to be at home. And so inevitably when we travel, like, there's a little bit of extra stress that comes up. Nolan and I have both felt it. There's just more things that need to get done to prepare us to go out of town for this amount of time. And so we've been reframing any of our extra stress into excitement because the body doesn't know the difference between the sensations, right? Think about the sensations that you get when you're excited. You probably have butterflies in your stomach. Maybe your palms sweat a little bit. Maybe you get a little bit jittery. Think about the sensations that you get when you're nervous or when you're stressed about something. Maybe your palms sweat. You get butterflies in your stomach. You're a little bit jittery. They're very similar sensations. And so for me, I like to essentially mind fuck myself and say, no, I'm actually super, super, super excited. It's like it's Christmas morning tomorrow, like every single day when I wake up. Nolan the other day had a really, really poor night's sleep, and that gets him super off track. And I was like, think about it like this. Remember when you would wake up on Christmas morning and you got like 2 hours of sleep, but you were just bouncing off the walls because you were so excited for what was about to come? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, what if that's what were happening? You didn't get a poor night's sleep. You were just so excited to live life and that we get to have this incredible trip coming up that you were like, I can't even sleep. And he's like, okay. Of course, he had his own process with it, but I love to personally use that of mind fucking myself. Stress is actually excitement. This is all like every single day is Christmas morning, okay? So that's the mindset side of things. And then also that Nolan and I are on a team together. I think because both of us are individually working on our own businesses and our business together and setting all of that up to get ready to go, there's, again, more things that need to get done. And there are more gaps for our communication to be a little bit off. And so we have to remind ourselves like, hey, we're on a team together and we are walking through this to get to a finish line. And so how can I show up for him and how can he show up for me in the moments where I need? This morning he was so sweet because he knew that I had something that I needed to get in. So he went out to our favorite coffee shop and got me my little chai tea latte and a muffin, and I just got into my work and vice versa. So we switch off doing that. Then on the systems side of things, again, I treat this like I treat my business. So I use Notion for everything. I have an entire travel life hub, which at some point I should give you guys a behind the scenes tour of because it's pretty insane and actually incredibly useful to keep everything in one place. But the main systems that I like to use is I create a timeline, and this is just a set template timeline for all of the things that need to get done before we leave and when they need to get done. So for example, I actually start pulling together my outfits about a month in advance. You might be like, Steph, that's crazy. I packed the night before. I totally get you. I pack the night before for a lot of trips. However, if I am trying to cut down on the amount of things that I'm bringing because your girl likes to shop and I can't wait to go shopping in Europe, I have to put those outfits together when I am not pressed for time so that I can really consciously think through what do I actually need, what do I not need, and I focus on basics that, of course, I can put together in multiple different ways. We finish booking hotels a month in advance. That might seem late for you guys, but hey, it works for us. I finish my packing list 3 weeks in advance so that I have everything down that I need to bring, and there's no like last minute, oh my God, I forgot this. I love a good list. I finish any errands, so dry cleaning, nails, returning packages, anything that I need to do 1 week in advance so that all of that is done. And then I pack about 4 days in advance. I'm not perfect with this. Yes, I will still be packing the night before or the day up. However, typically having this timeline allows me to have a mental checklist so that I know when things get done and I can rest into it. Otherwise, there's always that tab open in my mind of like, oh my God, when's that gonna happen? And when do I need to do this? And it's a mumbo jumbo mess. Just having a loose outline of this is so freaking helpful. The second system that I use life-wise I've talked about this before, but it is amazing and life-changing, is having a photo library of your outfits. So when I start setting my outfits out about a month in advance, I take photos of them on my phone. I think it's easier to see what you look good in when it's on your phone. So I just swipe through and I'm like, I like this outfit, I don't like this outfit. But B, once I get to my destination, I have the whole library of outfits there and can look at it. I don't have to like guess or like sort through everything and try and figure out what I'm gonna wear, or realize that I have a bunch of like random separates that don't actually go together or that I can't mix and match. Everything is right there and it's already preset. So I go through my outfits and I make that photo library. And then I'm typically a Nuuly girl. If you guys, I'm not sponsored by anything, but I love doing Nuuly, which is a clothing rental subscription, because I think it's like sisterhood of the traveling pants. And I typically do that every month, but for this trip specifically, because we're going to have a few events to go to that are a bit nicer, I did rent the runway for any extras that I wanted to add in. And because I had all of my outfits in my photo library, I knew exactly what I needed and what I already had, so it made that process way more streamlined. There are more systems that I could add to this, but one thing I love to do that we've recently started doing and has been absolutely a game changer is Nolan and I make a grocery list of what we need for when we get back home. Because Whole Foods is like 45 minutes from our house right now. So we try and go to Whole Foods on the way home from the airport if we don't get in too late. But B, I love doing an Instacart order when we are coming back home. So whether that's like when we're on the plane or when we're coming back, so that like we have all of our food, because I noticed there would be so many times where we'd go out of town, then we come back, we're like, we don't have any food here. And especially where we live, like everything closes at 9:30. So there would be like no chance of actually getting takeout or anything. So we love to do that, so that everything is set and we can just get back into work and focus on unpacking and getting settled versus also then scrambling to try and find food. And the last thing I'll add is that I also break up my packing. So instead of packing all at once, I start to do the easiest things first. So I pack like my supplements and my snacks, and I pack my toiletries, and then I pack my suitcase, all on separate days, that it never feels overwhelming. It just feels easy. Like we're checking things off and I can do it in 20 minutes, which is great. So now we have the business side of things, which is honestly where it gets fun, because there's a few more moving pieces here. And first and foremost, on the mindset side of things, one of the shifts that has been so pivotal for me personally, and that I keep reminding myself, is to release the urgency. I think as high-performing women, it's very easy to constantly be in do mode or action mode, or to feel like, oh my gosh, I should be doing more in order to prepare myself, or I need to be pushing ahead during this time, and what's going to happen if I take 3 weeks off, or if I'm not online or behind my laptop as much as I usually am. And the reality is that nothing's going anywhere, and that 3 weeks is a drop in the bucket. Any amount of time that you're traveling, if you're contemplating going away for a weekend, yes, there are times where we have deadlines and we want to make sure that we're in integrity with them. However, at the end of the day, if you prepare for it, it is like nothing. And especially when you understand your X factor and the specific movement that you are here to create, nothing goes anywhere. In fact, it is even strengthened over time, because you're out having experiences in life that inevitably shift you as a leader. And when you're clear on that mission and the X factor that you specifically have, everything really does feed everything. Where a connection that you make tomorrow when you're out traveling could lead to a business opportunity from there, but because you understand how to articulate exactly what it is that you do and the value that you bring into the world, and you have that energy where you walk into a room and people are like, who is that? That is what sets you ahead, versus constantly being behind your laptop 24/7. In fact, I always tell myself that time slows down when I travel, which is actually true. I started to realize this because, as I've mentioned this, I'm a Cancer. I like to be at home. And so previously, I used to think in my business, I was like, if I travel, I'm going to completely put myself behind, because then I'm going to be behind on these launches and these projects and blah, blah. I would have all of these stories in my mind that, quite frankly, are incredibly untrue, because what happens when you travel is that you're lighting up different centers of your brain. So therefore, you're having different creative thoughts. And it actually does feel like time slows down, because it's out of your routine. It's out of your norm. And so for me, I personally like to shift my focus. Instead instead of moving my business forward in a behind the laptop, working on projects and getting nitty gritty with it, I think about it like I'm putting my business forward in the inspiration that I will receive through the experiences I'm having and being fully present with my life and getting to see different things and experience new cultures and meet new people. I will inevitably always get more done when I'm traveling, which is wild. And it's because of this inspiration that's flowing through. And B, actually meeting people and creating connections. Nolan and I were looking at each other the other day and we're like, we have no idea who we're going to meet, but we feel like something pivotal is going to happen. Like, we don't know where it's going to happen or when, but because we go in with that intention and both of us understand the specific X factor that we bring, such that if we walk into any room, your X factor does not leave. If you feel like because you're walking away from your laptop or you're not going to be as present online as you typically are because you're traveling and enjoying your life, which is amazing, and you think that your business is just going to go away, or you have that fear, it's likely because you haven't yet honed in on that specific X factor that you have, the unique value that you bring that's based on your past experiences, your innate gifts, and your learned skills that allows you to be able to communicate with anyone exactly what you do that's different than the cookie cutter, that's actually based on your purpose and the unique things that you were put on this earth to do, not just an I help statement of I help these people do this that anyone can say anywhere and feels kind of fake and kind of flimsy. So then you shy away from actually telling people what it is that you do. And you just pretend like you are one of the rest, when in fact you have the most incredible gifts inside of you. Because we both understand our X factors, we walk into the room and we can talk to anyone. And it's never about trying to get anywhere, but inevitably people are like, so what is it that you do? What there's something about you, like, what is this? And then you get to talk about the specific magic that you bring to your industry, and people are like, I don't know what you're on, but I think I need some of that. And it creates these incredible connections. There's a reason why I have met clients at dinner, at cocktail parties, out in the world, just being and existing. It's because your X factor does not leave you when you leave your laptop or you leave a screen. It is with you in every single room that you walk into. And when you can understand that, it gives you the type of confidence where people notice you when you walk into the room, where they're like, who is that? Because you hold yourself with this energy of, I know who I am and I know the value that I bring into this world. That is powerful. And it doesn't have to be loud and it doesn't have to be over the top. It's like this little secret that you have in your back pocket where you don't even have to scream to the world, this is what I do and this is my magic. You know it. And therefore, it's woven through any conversation you have, any experience you have. And it makes people remember you even when you're not online. So while you're out making connections in the world and walking into rooms, there are still people online who are searching your name in the search bar because there is something different that you bring that is so unique, it's so authentic, and it's magnetic because it's based on your X factor. Which then allows you to rest, realizing that you're not putting your business on hold at all when you're traveling. To be completely honest, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's probably going to surge forward, just not in the way that you think. Not in the behind the laptop doing the nitty gritty sort of way, but in the, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to talk about what I do, I'm going to share online when I feel like it, and I can rest knowing that my X factor does not go away. And that is powerful. And if you guys want to understand on a deeper level what that X factor is, I'm going to have a free course for you guys coming out that shows you exactly how to get clear on your own specific X factor. And you can find the waitlist in the show notes, or depending on when you listen to this, it might even be the link for the live course. So check that out over there. But remember that it's not going anywhere. And so you get to release the urgency and remember that this is meant to be fun. It's meant to be expansive and to light you up in a new way. And everything feeds everything. When you can see it as such, your travel impacts your leadership. Your leadership then impacts how you travel. Your relationships impact your business. All of it feeds everything. And so you're in this constant path of evolution rather than a start stop. Like, I'm leaving for a trip and my business is going on pause and then I'm coming back and my business is starting back up. It's never like that. It's just in a different way than you think. So now on the system side of business, I'm going to break down what has personally worked for me, especially because most of my intention is to not necessarily be like pushing something forward or launching while I'm on vacation or anything like that. Most of my intention is to be fully present and to travel, because I have learned to set my expectations lower. I used to think that because I was like, I can work from anywhere, that when I would go on vacation, I would like actually work. No, For me, my priorities always lie in being with my family and being present with Nolan and having new experiences in that way. And so to think that I'm going to be like on my laptop for 4 hours every single day is just, it's not realistic. It's not going to happen. Maybe some days I will log in, but other days I'll be completely off. So I set my expectations pretty low for what I'm going to get done. So with that said, I do have my podcast batched and recorded before I leave so that everything is done. I might record one while I'm in Spain, but we'll see if that happens, if I can get a good setup there. But most of the podcasts are done. And then content-wise, I don't necessarily batch my content. And I'm not batching it for the trip because I know there's going to be B-roll that I take. I know there's going to be things that come through that inspire me while I'm on my trip. And the last thing I want to do is have a bunch of stale ideas, and it really doesn't take me that long. So what I do is I set expectations for my quote unquote work blocks. So yes, I will still be working when we're away, because for me, my purpose is what grounds me in my power and who the fuck I am. I always say if I'm feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated because I'm in a new place, all I need is like an hour with my laptop and I feel completely back to myself. It truly is like this beautiful sacred part. And I think that's the best part about being in your purpose is it never feels like work. It just feels like, okay, I'm re-centered back in who I am. So I looked at my schedule in advance, and because we are more back to back on this trip, I knew that there would only be a few days where I'd be able to carve out that time to be able to get some things done or to check in with clients, et cetera, et cetera. So I carved those out in advance. And I also blocked off the weeks where I'm like, it is just unrealistic that I'm ever gonna, unless I'm just like on my laptop when we're on a train or something like that and I get something quick done, it's unrealistic that I'm gonna have a longer like focus period. So I took out that time and looked at the days where, okay, we really don't have that much going on. Where's there time that I could get necessary things done? From there, I let my clients know about a month in advance of any travel changes, and if they have one-on-ones, to schedule those so that I was able to see when those are and then adjust accordingly from there. And I didn't make myself available 24/7 like I usually am. I opened up specific blocks, and then if anyone had any issues with that, I said, hey, message me and we can figure something out. But most of the time, my clients are the best humans ever in the world, and they were able to totally work with the blocks that I set open. And the third piece is having a key focus or project while away. So you guys heard me mention about the X Factor freebie. That's going to be my project that doesn't necessarily need me to be online at all hours of the day or typical 9 to 5 hours within the US. I can do that wherever. I can talk about it on my stories. I can talk about it in my posts, and it's a freebie. It's fun. It's something to launch that's not anything that's a paid program, but still allows me to serve my community and serve you guys with something really, really badass and fun, and gives me a target while I'm there. So it's not just like, oh, I'm creating content about everything and anything. Of course, there will be totally like lifestyle things that happen and inspirational ideas that come to me, but I find that I work best when I have a pinpointed target. And so I do have something, but it's not something that's like high pressure or anything like that. It's fun, it's service, it's creative, it's from my heart, and it's actually absolutely fucking phenomenal. So get on that wait list because it's going to blow your mind, especially if you want to take your authority to the next level within your industry and really have that je ne sais quoi, that thing about you that makes people be like, I don't know what you're doing, but you're on something and I need some of that. Especially if you're someone who has a lot of ideas, a gazillion one ideas, and you're like, I could do so many different things. I could take my business in this direction or this direction or this direction, and you really just want to get clear on which one is truly in alignment with your purpose and all of the experiences that have made you you and your skill set versus trying a million different things and feeling like you don't make progress. So all in all, with travel, yes, it's a dream. Yes, it's absolutely incredible. And it's something that I have to pause and remind myself that at one point I dreamt of being able to do this, and to get to do it with a partner is just, it is truly one of the most special experiences that I can't wait to just drink in and have so much fun. And we already have our trip planned for next year for going back, and we haven't even been. But it is a lot. Like, it does take routine and systems and structure to be able to make it work and to be able to rest and be present in it and not just hit the off switch and be like, we'll figure it out when we come back. And that's really where having a bigger why that drives you comes in, you know, because it would be so easy to just kind of drop off and to not put in place routine and just say, oh, well, I'm just going to travel, so everything else can figure itself out later. And like, sure, that's a way to do it. However, when you have a bigger why that drives you, the routines become non-negotiable. It just becomes, of course, this is what I'm doing because it's not about me and my own comfort. It's about something so much greater than myself, a bigger purpose. And that purpose gets to hold you to your word, and also allow you to experience life in such a beautiful, fully alive way, if you will. So I love you all. I hope that you received something incredible from this podcast episode. You can check out the show notes for anything that I noticed. I might even link a little Notion template in there. If I get to it, by the time this comes out, I'll link for you guys my travel dashboard in Notion, or a piece of my travel dashboard, one of the systems that I talked about today. And you can find that in the show notes. But I can't wait to see you on the next episode. It's going to be an episode with my mother, and is awesome. I can't even wait to listen back to what we talked about. It is a pretty crazy episode. So I love you guys, and have a phenomenal rest of your day. I'll see you soon. Mwah!